Copper extraction. Copper is typically extracted through open-pit mining, a surface method where minerals are removed from a large excavation in the ground, also known as open-cast mining. This approach avoids the need for underground tunnels or complex extraction techniques. Open-pit mining is the most common method for extracting minerals globally. The process begins with surveying the location of the open-pit site. Copper, embedded in the Earth's crust, is accessed through controlled explosions designed to break apart rock formations containing the metal. These explosions involve drilling 16-meter deep holes, which are filled with a powerful explosive called ANFO, a mix of diesel and ammonium nitrate. Electronic systems trigger the blasts in a sequence, with a brief 2-millisecond delay between each explosion. The resulting material is loaded into massive haul trucks capable of carrying the equivalent weight of 300 compact cars. Post-explosion, operations are managed from a control hub located in a tower, using GPS and advanced communication systems to monitor movements in real time. Depending on the copper content, the extracted material is sorted and transported to different locations. Low-grade material, or waste, is sent to designated storage areas. Partially valuable material, referred to as leachables, is placed around the mine's perimeter. Copper Mountain. The Copper Mountain Mine, poised to become Canada's third-largest copper operation, is an open-pit mine rich in copper and gold porphyry deposits. After lying dormant for 15 years, this project is set to inject hundreds of millions of dollars into Princeton, British Columbia, while generating over 1,000 jobs, both direct and indirect. Construction of the mine required over 1 million hours of dedicated work spanning 1.5 years. Now fully operational, the effort has proven worthwhile. The mine is projected to produce approximately 5 million pounds of copper annually from a 5 billion pound copper reserve. With a $438 million investment, supported by Mitsubishi Materials Corporation, the project maintains a 75-25 debt-to-equity ratio and is expected to operate for many years. Chile Codelco. Established in 1976, Chile Codelco is a government-owned copper mining company based in Chile. As one of the world's leading copper producers, it manages several mines, including the renowned El Teniente, one of the largest underground copper mines globally. A standout feature of Codelco's division Radomiro Tomic is the use of massive rotary shovels for continuous excavation in large-scale open-pit operations. These colossal machines can remove up to 220,000 tons of leached material daily, utilizing a unique rotating wheel with buckets to collect resources efficiently. This method supports an annual output of 3.8 million tons of valuable materials. Kamoa Copper. The Kamoa Copper Phase 1 concentrator is nearing its steady-state performance target, expected to be fully achieved by the end of 2023. Copper grades range from 2.5% to 3%, with consistent recovery rates at the concentrator. Raw ore is crushed, ground, mixed with chemicals and water, and processed through flotation circuits. Air bubbles attract copper minerals, forming a high-quality concentrate that is sent to smelters for further refining to meet purity standards. SMS Group. SMS Group is a global leader in supplying plant technology, processing equipment, and comprehensive solutions for the non-ferrous metals industry, including copper. Their copper plants leverage advanced material handling, crushing, grinding, and separation technologies to maximize efficiency and minimize emissions. These facilities incorporate cutting-edge environmental controls and offer services such as upgrades, modernization, and spare parts to extend the lifespan of existing plants. Copper's excellent electrical conductivity and malleability make it critical for various industrial applications. The foundry horn. Operating since 1927, the foundry horn is North America's largest producer of copper and precious metals. It excels in recycling electronic equipment, producing 99.1% pure copper anodes from recyclable materials and copper concentrates. The smelter's ability to process complex materials showcases its adaptability to global market shifts. It features security checkpoints, an emergency response team, and dedicated training infrastructure. The facility converts sulfur into sulfuric acid to meet global demand and processes around 740,000 tons of copper concentrate and other metals annually. SEC, a major integrated copper producer in Mexico and Peru, offers a diverse range of products, including lead, zinc, copper, molybdenum, and silver. Since its inception in 1996, SEC has become a significant player in the global metals market, listing shares on the Lima and New York stock exchanges. The company is committed to sustainable mining practices, adhering to strict environmental standards and fostering strong community ties to support regional development. Single furnace upcast line. A single furnace upcast line is a system that includes a melting and holding furnace for producing continuous cast copper wire rods. Depending on furnace size, these lines can yield up to 12,000 tons annually. They offer advantages like reduced energy consumption, lower capital costs, simpler maintenance, and flexibility in production. These lines are ideal for small-scale producers due to their scalability and are widely used in industries such as automotive, electronics, and construction. Furnace capacities range from 6 to 12 tons of molten copper. The factory. This facility produces high-quality copper tubes for industries like plumbing, refrigeration, and air conditioning. With an annual capacity of 100,000 metric tons, the plant employs around 500 skilled workers and uses advanced machinery. The HME copper tube production line employs cutting-edge technology for efficient processing. The process involves selecting premium copper strips, preparing them for extrusion, and using heat and hydraulic pressure to form hollow tubes. These tubes are then cut, shaped, polished, and rigorously tested to meet precise specifications before being packaged and shipped globally. Peanut planting. Before planting peanuts, the soil must be prepared using machinery to clear debris, mark rows, and create furrows for seed placement. This process ensures optimal growing conditions. A planter equipped with a hopper places peanut seeds in furrows at 2 to 3 inch intervals, ideally in mid to late spring when soil temperatures reach 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The seeds are covered with soil using discs or tubes to protect against erosion and pests, and some planters include compaction systems to retain moisture and prevent weeds. Farmers monitor soil moisture, temperature, and seed placement during planting to ensure healthy growth. The peanut growth cycle takes 120 to 160 days, with harvesting typically occurring in the fall when leaves yellow and drop. Combine harvesters lift the plants, shake the roots, and invert them for 3 to 4 days of drying. Rollers and brushes collect the peanuts into a central hopper, and some machines can process multiple rows simultaneously. Threshing separates the peanuts from the plant, after which they are transported to processing facilities for peanut butter production. At the facility, peanuts are graded based on meat content, pod size, kernel size, moisture, and foreign material. They are cleaned, shelled, and blanched to remove skins, with machines ensuring minimal kernel damage. The blanched peanuts are inspected, ground into a paste with added ingredients, cooled to 38 degrees Celsius to prevent oxidation, and packaged in vacuum-sealed jars to maintain freshness. Marble extraction. Marble is sourced from open-cast quarries, large excavations that access stone formations beneath the Earth's surface. The extraction method varies depending on the marble type, such as crema marfil koto, which is cut vertically, or other varieties cut horizontally based on local geology. Marble's unique veining and patterns, like those in Sinai Peninsula marble with its creamy yellow hue and flecked design, give it a distinctive appearance. Extraction doesn't always yield uniform blocks, but advanced equipment minimizes variations to ensure high-quality production. Heavy machinery, including wheel loaders and crawler tractors, handles marble blocks weighing 6 to 15 tons. Wet saws, which spray water to keep the material cool and prevent cracks, are often used for cutting. Multi-wire saws with diamond wires cut slabs efficiently, taking about 8 hours for a crema marfil block. Post-cutting, abrasion processes create varied finishes, and resins are applied to strengthen slabs and enhance their appearance. CNC stone cutting machines enable precise, complex patterns without manual labor. Marble's thermal properties make it ideal for applications like countertops and fireplace surrounds, as it resists heat damage and helps regulate indoor temperatures. Transportation requires careful handling, with slabs secured vertically on A-frames to prevent damage. Clamps ensure safe movement without compromising the stone's integrity. Cork harvesting. Cork is harvested every 9 years by removing the entire bark of the cork tree using axes and similar tools. Care is taken to preserve the tree's phloem tissue to ensure continued growth. The bark planks are stacked to minimize air exposure and prevent contamination, then transported to a processing facility. At the facility, the bark is sorted by quality, cut into smaller pieces, and boiled in stainless steel tanks to soften it and remove impurities. High-quality planks are selected for cork stoppers, while defective ones are ground for other products. Cylindrical stoppers are machine-punched from strips, sorted by size, color, and quality, and labeled for identification. Approved corks are packaged and shipped to wineries and other clients. Cork is also used in footwear, such as Birkenstock footbeds, where shredded cork is mixed with natural rubber latex for flexibility and support. The footbeds are stitched to soles, smoothed, and inspected for quality before being packaged for global distribution. Cork fabric is made by drying planks for 6 months, pressing them into thin sheets, and bonding them to a fabric backing using suberin. These sheets are assembled into products like bags, with stitching and padding added for a polished look. Potato planting. Soil preparation is critical before planting potatoes. Machines with rotating tines break up soil, clear debris, and create furrows for planting. This process ensures loose, well-drained soil free of weeds and rocks. Potato tubers, which store nutrients for plant growth, are planted using machines like the GF200 rotary tiller with a GL32B planter. These devices till the soil and plant tubers at optimal depth and spacing simultaneously. The Ropa Gecko planter handles pre-germinated potatoes gently, ensuring precise placement with adjustable settings for various soil types. Farmers monitor growth using machines like the Grimm GH4 Echo to remove weeds without chemicals. After 80 to 100 days, potatoes are harvested using combine harvesters like the Veritran 470 or Ropa Mouse 6, which cut and collect potatoes efficiently for transport to sorting facilities. Potato processing. Seed potatoes are washed, peeled, and sliced into thin rounds or wedges for chips. The slices are blanched in hot water or saline to remove starch and enhance crispiness, then fried in oil at 350 degrees Fahrenheit with seasonings for flavor. The chips are sealed in bags for market distribution. French fries. High-starch potatoes are selected, cleaned, peeled, and cut into uniform fry strips. The strips are blanched to improve texture, coated with batter for crispiness, and fried at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. After frying, the fries are frozen to preserve quality, inspected for defects, and packaged in vacuum-sealed bags with nutritional labels. Automated systems ensure efficient packaging and loading for transport.